Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. I have a couple stories here, and I am going to review a liquor after these two stories. It'll probably be the last liquor I do for a while. Now, I'll go back to beer for a while, but I think you're going to really like this stuff. Actually, I think a lot of you are going to hate it, but it's polarizing is what it is. It's very polarizing. More on that later. I have a fascinating story here about Germany. According to this article in The Guardian, Germany is considering reverting back to typewriters for all sensitive documents. Of course, this being in the wake of the U.S. surveillance scandal. So, I mean, I understand that, right? Makes sense. You can't spy on a typewriter or anything printed on it unless someone is standing over your shoulder or is physically holding these documents. Or, of course, if someone just tells you what's on the documents. But what are your thoughts on this idea?
Well, I understand the reasoning behind it. I read a couple articles about this over the last day or so. At the same time, it feels like this is not really the way forward, right? I mean, yes, you can do this to accomplish some immediate goals of limiting surveillance, but at the same time, is using typewriters going to fit into the broader goal that I'm sure Germany has of advancing technology, advancing the way in which they maintain and hold information? It seems really unlikely that the long-term solution is this. It's like, once we interviewed this guy who, to increase freedom, he felt that parking tickets were like a reduction on freedom in New Hampshire. So he was part of a group that would go around putting coins in. They would follow meter maids around, or parking enforcement, whatever term that was the guy used. And they would put coins in when people's time had expired just before the ticket was written. And they thought it was a way to kind of suppress government interference with people's lives. Yeah, okay, I understand why in the short term you're preventing the government from making money off of tickets. But are you really going to increase freedom long term if you just focus on sticking money in parking meters? It's the same kind of thing. You solve a very specific immediate problem, but at the same time, is it really the path forward broadly? It doesn't really seem like it.
I guess last year the Russian government took similar measures, and this got me thinking. David had me start watching Battlestar Galactica. He told me it was good, so I started watching it. And interestingly enough, in Battlestar Galactica, that ship, which is called Battlestar Galactica, has none of their systems networked aboard this spacecraft that is full of incredible technology. And the reason being that their enemy, if they infiltrate one system, will just be able to spread throughout the entire ship. They use phones with the cords, like you would see, back in the day. And it's interesting that now, in light of similar circumstances and spying and all this, some people are thinking that perhaps it's best to revert back to older technology. And I just, I don't know. I think that's fascinating. And maybe they will keep this up, of course, just for those incredibly sensitive documents. And you know what? I don't think it's a bad idea. I think that's a pretty good idea. But do you need to use a typewriter? Not really. You could, of course, just use a normal computer that is not connected to any internet or anything like that, and a printer that is connected to that computer. So I don't think you need to use typewriters. But if you want to take it to the most extreme level, I guess that there could be a keylogger installed. A spy could install a keylogger on that computer that is not networked to anything and just has a printer hooked up to it. So it's not 100% safe. No. But if you are the only person in a room with a typewriter, yeah, you are the only one. David telling me to move things along here. Great. Thank you, David. Airbus is trying to secure a patent for what will be the biggest abomination in air travel ever to grace us. There's a drawing here of what they're trying to do, and they're trying to patent these seats, essentially, that look like bicycle seats. There's like a bar, okay? There's just a bar coming out of the side of the plane, and the seats are upright like this. They look like, banana seats, essentially. That's what they're called, I believe. And then you just push it down and sit on it. There is no back support. There is nothing. This is just, use the analogy like sardines. This is what it would be like. This is insane. David, have you seen this? Would you fly on a plane that had seats like this?
I mean, I would say now, no, I wouldn't. But if this became the standard, would I stop flying? Probably not. I mean, sometimes you need to get places.
Okay. Maybe I guess I would consider this, but the flight would have to be no longer than an hour. That would be my criteria, I guess. But man, they look so. If you look at this, it looks like it's worse than stadium seats. It's worse than bleachers. It's worse than the worst seats you've ever been in any sports arena. There
are already so many ideas, though, for new types of seats that would both allow more comfort and more people on the plane. So I don't know why this exact thing would even really be necessary with all the ideas that are already floating around.
I think one really good idea would be seats that are similar to the ones we use now, except not so bulky. Why are they so thick and bulky and awkward? If you wanted to save space, you could just make them thinner while still having them be comfortable.
I think there's probably two issues. Number one is weight, the amount of weight, considering not only the weight of the average passenger, but if you consider the added weight that results from some of the G-forces on a plane. That's one. Number two, they have to contain the flotation device within them. That's the other thing. Number three, they have to maintain often a television and a tray for the person sitting behind you. So all these things probably make it so that they have to be heavier duty.
Well, on the Airbus thing here, there are no trays. There's nothing. It's just this little plastic seat.
There you go.
Anyway, hope that doesn't happen. Okay, time to review something that has become incredibly, incredibly popular over the past year. Fernet. Now, a Fernet is just a liquor with a bunch of herbs and spices, and usually a grape-based liquor. This one is probably the most popular one right now. Fernet Branca. It's Italian.
This is incredibly popular in Argentina. This is like one of the main drinks in Argentina.
Yes, Argentina is big into this stuff, and now the U.S. is too. It's catching on. So there's a lot of Italian-made Fernets like this one. This one I hated the first time I ever tried it. I hated it, but it grew on me. This is, the most bitter and herbal and earthy one I've ever had. It's hard to describe the flavors because it's just like a mouthful of dirt and herbs in reality. But a lot of these have that licoricey flavor that a lot of people hate. So if you don't like that, you're not going to like this. But I have turned many people onto this who all agree with me that the first time they ever had it, they did not like it. But now it's a thing. David, have you had this stuff?
I've tried it. Yeah, I don't love it. And it's funny, whenever people ask me, they assume I like it because I'm from Argentina, but I really don't. I also tried recently, it's not that, and I don't know what it is, but it was last summer when I was in Spain. And they would just bring you like a shot of something that looked just like that after dinner. And it was very it had herbs and spices and whatever. It was slightly licoricey as well. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a local thing to the Balearic Islands off the coast of Spain. I don't remember what it was, but it was very similar to that. And it was okay, actually, to kind of sip on a little bit, but it's not the type of thing, they bring it to you for free. I would never think to order that after a meal.
Yeah. Now, this company also makes another one that is more minty and way more, accessible, I should say. But this one is very bitter and harsh, but I like it. And like David said, it is intended to kind of be like an after-dinner drink. Interestingly, if you are really gassy, this stuff is really good for that.
There you go.
Yeah, kind of like Jaeger. Jaeger is too. Anyway, really good after a big meal. Very harsh, though. very bitter and herbal and earthy and licoricey. So drink with, buyer beware.
And very quickly, Lewis, I will make a beer recommendation. I don't have the bottle here, but over the weekend I was in Martha's Vineyard, and there is a brewery called Bad Martha. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Lewis, and it's from North Shore of Boston, Ipswich, I believe. And they have one flavor called Martha's Vineyard Ale. Actually, no, is that what it is? No, it's the Vineyard Summer Ale. Vineyard Summer Ale. It is a white ale. It has hints of pear, and it is slightly citrusy. And it was delicious, Lewis. And as you know, I don't often find beers that I really like, but this was truly an excellent beer. I don't know how easy it is to get around the country, but if you're in the New England area, it's certainly available.
Very good. I know there is a Ipswich brewery too. I know that exists there, and I've had their beer. But yes, I've never heard of the one you're mentioning. It's probably pretty small and not too widely distributed. But anyway, that's it for today's bonus show. So take our recommendations. They're good.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.